If you use AI agents, this will be the most important video that you watch all year. I'm changing every single one of my websites to be more AI agent friendly. And the way that I'm doing this will absolutely change your life. If you're a business owner, this video is going to make you a ton of money. API calls are dead and the future is all MCP. Let me explain to you what an MCP is, how you should use it as a business owner, how I'm using it with one of my companies that does over $1 million a month, and how I plan on continuing to build out everything to be MCP. My name's rakidzich, ADHD solo business owner with way too many projects, and AI is helping to keep me in line. So let me show you this company. This company is called Revande. What it does is it runs pricing strategy for Airbnb hosts. I'm one of the biggest educators in the space in the world. I just published a book on pricing strategy, and it's a great lead magnet to get people to sign up for Revande. So we've got a lot of customers coming in. And the problem that I needed to solve with AI was client onboarding. And when somebody signs up, they might have 10 listings, they might have 50 listings, and every single one of those listings has a whole laundry list of things to do to get it to be ready for Revande. And so what I did is I built my website to communicate with agents using something called an MCP. An MCP is a model context protocol, and there's a few uses for it. The way that I'm using it, I think, is a bit unique, and so you're going to love what I'm doing in this video. But let me give you the whole bird's eye view. A lot of my first use for MCP was making sure that my websites could serve a bot that's trying to learn about Airbnb. So instead of just having a website that says, here's 10 Airbnb tips, you can actually write a hidden part of your website that talks just to an AI agent, and that's an MCP socket. So the AI agent comes to your website and starts a handshake, says, hey, I'm trying to learn about Airbnb for ChatGPT user over here. What can you tell me? And it would give that AI agent a list of tools and different things that it can use. Very nice, right? And this is the first most common use for an MCP is for websites to allow a user to maybe go shopping, order a pizza through ChatGPT, get it delivered, for example. Now, here's the way that I'm using it though. I'm making private MCPs that require a bearer token, kind of like an API call. But here's what's so cool that no one's doing yet, and it's going to kill APIs. APIs are dead. By the way, AI is moving super fast. I'm not going to heavily edit this video. And if you appreciate fast information over high quality information, just give this video a like and subscribe because as a business owner, I can't do everything amazing and edit videos and get them to you. It's a little tough. So I appreciate the support for this lightweight video. So what I want you to do is copy what I did for Revande. You're going to make an MCP menu. That menu is here's all the things that you can do with our website. And that menu doesn't need a bearer token, but it will show everything that an AI agent would need to know, including where it's going to send its bearer token to start its handshake, right? So any agent could take a look, and if it has a token, it's going to go, okay, I'm going to give you my token now, and we're going to start doing stuff. And this page is more than just a tool call menu. It's also a protocol spec. It's going to explain to your AI agent where it needs to send its bearer token, how it needs to structure its communication, all of it. And in this protocol spec, I recommend that you include field schema documentation. So the agent gets that extra level of depth and it's well prepared to use your MCP when it makes the initialization. And as long as you require a bot to have a bearer token, none of this can get interacted with without a token. So you can keep this stuff public and it's generally safe, but obviously never make your bearer tokens public. It's like sharing an API key. I actually made this mistake for another website that I built. I was born yesterday with AI. And the reason why I made this mistake is because I've got this workflow of webhooks. A customer adds information or fills out a form. We send a webhook to my local computer, not this one, but I've got one hidden away. It's a Mac 64, all local LLMs, right? This local LLM gets a webhook for this customer information and then starts a workflow of enriching the lead and then sending a text message. And so the webhook says, hey, we've got a new lead. Please start an MCP with me so you can do your job. Initially, that MCP invite included the bearer token that it should use. That was really dumb. So I had to undo that. You can vibe code your way to a security problem, is what I'm trying to say. So when you're vibe coding, be careful. Okay, let's slow it down and cover where we are now. Revande has an MCP protocol for an agent. It gets protocols, it gets schema outlines, it gets everything that it needs. Then it takes its bearer token, which on the Revande admin page, we create bearer tokens like API keys, and then we privately assign it to a bot, right? And this bot keeps it in its credentials area. We also encrypt all of our credentials. I've actually made my own, what would you call it, mission control, where my mission control keeps all of its own credentials that are not inside of the OpenClaw. All right, it keeps all of its own stuff encrypted. So it decrypts to use stuff so that way all these credentials are safe. Okay. So it takes its bearer token, goes to the MCP, and it can start to do stuff. And here's what it's doing. When we get invited to co-host, so that's how Revande works, is somebody invites us to co-host and we start the workflow. I've got an agent that says, oh, we've got an invite, let's start our thing. So now it's going to take that invite, it's going to go to Revande and say, hey, I've got a new Airbnb listing that I need to add to a client. So it now can, through MCP, say, where's that client live? Did they pay? They paid? Okay, cool. So they exist in the thing? If they exist, great. If they don't exist yet, let's take this path and try to get them to pay for their membership. But if they have paid and they are in our database, let's start adding these listings to their profile inside of Revande. So somebody starts with us and they give us 100 listings to add. They've paid for these 100 listings with Revande. Then the bot, for every single invite that we get, we go back in and we add it into Revande into their profile. And the way that we do this, let's go deeper. Sorry, guys, this is getting a little scrambly, but it's important. Is we OAuth the agent to run on a browser. So the agent is actually inside of an Airbnb account that then gets to see stuff in a safe way, because otherwise Airbnb has anti-bot protection. But once it's in a host account, it can do all sorts of stuff with Airbnb not kicking it out. So it needs a browser. It needs to see the co-host invite. It accepts the invite. It sees the listing. It goes back to Revande, adds it into the private area. Then the bot does a lot of other stuff. It makes sure that names match, it adds it to Price Labs, adds it to some other stuff, and then starts to scrape some data. There's all of these things. Now, that workflow involves 4 different websites, and it requires the agent to be stateful. It needs to remember where it is on the whole thing. And so Revande gives it a checklist of 9 things or 10 things that has to happen for a client to be onboarded. And in the MCP, it'll go, hey, where are we? What's the next step? Okay, I'll do that. And it has its context history. And that MCP connection, what it does is it allows it to maintain a conversation with the website. An API call, here's what's different. You say API get, I want something. API post, I want to do something else. And it puts all of the burden on the AI agent to know exactly where it was, exactly what to do next. And this can burn a lot more tokens if you put all the load on it. But with the website having an MCP connection that maintains a conversation, the bot can just say, what's next? So now the agent needs to use less of its context memory to self manage, and it can just do the steps, which means my local LLMs, like my Olamas and my Gemmas and stuff like that, they have the ability to do the work because we've offloaded some of the reasoning into the model context protocol for the website. And this is what can be so powerful for you guys. You do not have to have a premier Anthropic or OpenAI model that you pay out the wazoo for tokens. You can build your own website to do something like this. And the chunks can be small and easily managed. And the bot says, I did this small thing, check it off the list through the MCP. What's the next step? Okay, I'll do that small thing, check it off the list. What's the next step? And you can use a free model to get this done. The next thing that I'm going to try to do, right? This is day 2 of using MCP. I'm going to try to have my agents do some math, right? To do some rate projection stuff. Scrape our Price Labs API calls and parse information out for every host that we have. And then it'll run all of its algorithms and then come to conclusions. We think that this is a strategy for today and tomorrow for the listing. Here's what we should do next. And then inside this host profile, it will add the new data and all of its reasoning. And it will even have a change log of things that it's done for that individual host. And then a human like me can go to the Revande dashboard and say, all right, we've got XYZ client. The bots said we should do this. This is the changes it's proposing. Here are the rates that it's actually changed already. And we can then approve, disapprove, override, and actually give feedback for the bot. We can leave it into the user profile and have some custom notes. And so later, the next time that the agent comes in with an MCP and it regards that user, we can already have feedback, say, hey, you're doing this wrong, make an adjustment to how you're running your prices. And this is how I imagine that we can use MCP long-term to have an area where humans do work and have an area where the agents do work, and then have the admin portal and everybody can come together and treat it kind of like a work desk. So let me know what you think. Are you already using MCPs this way? Am I actually behind? Because if you are ahead of me, I wouldn't be surprised. I am a business owner first, a AI nerd second. And if you enjoy the way that I teach, as scrambled as it is, please do subscribe and watch this video next. These are the 10 things that you need to know to use OpenClaw in 2026, again, through the perspective of a business owner, non-programmer, vibe coder guy. Thanks for watching this video. And as always, I'll see you on the other side.